The P-51 Mustang became the backbone of American air superiority in the final years of World War II. Designed initially as a low-altitude fighter, it was transformed into a long-range escort with the introduction of the Rolls-Royce Merlin engine. This change allowed the Mustang to escort bombers deep into German territory, something no previous Allied fighter could reliably do. Its speed, range, and high-altitude performance made it deadly against the Luftwaffe. Facing it was the Messerschmitt Bf 109. Germany's most produced fighter aircraft of the war. From the invasion of Poland to the final defense of Berlin, the Bf 109 evolved constantly. It climbed quickly, packed powerful cannons, and was extremely effective in the hands of experienced German aces. However, limited range and increasing pilot shortages weakened its effectiveness over time. When these two fighters met over Europe in 1944, the balance had shifted. The Mustang could choose when to engage or disengage, while German pilots were often forced to defend bombers and cities with limited fuel and exhausted crews. Dogfights were brutal, fast, and often decided in seconds. The Mustang's range allowed it to hunt German fighters back to their airfields, slowly breaking the Luftwaffe's ability to resist. By war's end, the P-51 symbolized Allied air dominance, while the Bf 109 stood as a testament to German engineering pushed beyond its limits by attrition and overwhelming numbers. The P-47 Thunderbolt and the Focke-Wulf founded 90 represented two very different philosophies of fighter design. When these aircraft met over Europe, the outcome often depended on altitude, speed, and raw firepower. The P-47 Thunderbolt was the largest and heaviest single-engine fighter of World War II. Nicknamed the Jug, it was built around a massive radial engine and a turbo supercharger that allowed it to operate effectively at high altitudes. Its rugged construction made it incredibly difficult to destroy, and many pilots returned home with severe battle damage. The Thunderbolt's greatest strength was firepower. Armed with 8.50 caliber machine guns, it could unleash devastating bursts capable of tearing apart enemy fighters, locomotives, and armored vehicles. While it was not the most agile aircraft in turning combat, it excelled in high-speed diving attacks and boom-and-zoom tactics. Facing it was the Focke-Wulf Fa-190, considered by many pilots to be Germany's best fighter of the mid-war period. It was fast, heavily armed, and extremely responsive at low and medium altitudes. German pilots praised its roll rate and firepower, which often gave it an edge in close-range combat. When Thunderbolts and Fa-190s clashed, American pilots avoided tight dogfights. Instead, they used altitude and speed to strike from above, firing devastating passes before climbing away. The rugged Thunderbolt could absorb damage that would destroy lighter fighters, making it ideal for escort and ground attack roles. By late 1944, the P-47 became a terror to German ground forces, while the F-190 struggled under constant pressure and dwindling resources. Their battles symbolized the shift from tactical superiority to strategic dominance by the Allies. The encounter between the P-38 Lightning and the Messerschmitt Me 110 was a battle between two twin-engine heavy fighters designed for long-range missions. Both aircraft were powerful, fast, and heavily armed, yet their wartime effectiveness differed greatly. The P-38 Lightning was one of the most distinctive aircraft of World War II. Its twin-boom design housed powerful engines and concentrated all its weapons in the nose, eliminating the need for gun convergence. This made it extremely accurate at long range. The Lightning performed well as a fighter, interceptor, reconnaissance aircraft, and ground attacker. American pilots valued the P-38 for its speed, climb rate, and long range. It excelled in high-altitude combat and was especially effective in the Pacific and European theaters. Its twin engines also provided added safety during long missions over enemy territory. The Messerschmitt Me 110, on the other hand, was originally designed as a heavy escort fighter. Early in the war, it performed well against weaker opposition, but it struggled against agile single-engine fighters. Despite its heavy armament, the Me-110 lacked the maneuverability, needed for dogfighting. As the war progressed, the Me-110 found success as a night fighter and bomber destroyer, using radar and heavy cannons to attack Allied bombers. However, when facing P-38 Lightnings in daylight combat, it was often outmatched in speed and versatility. Engagements between these aircraft highlighted the evolution of air combat doctrine. The P-38 proved adaptable and effective across multiple roles, while the Me-110 demonstrated the limitations of early heavy fighter concepts. Ultimately, the Lightning's flexibility ensured its lasting impact on the war. The battle between the American B-17 Flying Fortress and the German Junkers Ju-88 represents the struggle for control of the skies during the strategic bombing campaign over Europe. This conflict was not a traditional dogfight, but a deadly contest between offense and interception. The B-17 Flying Fortress was designed to survive intense enemy fire while delivering massive bomb loads deep into enemy territory. Its defining feature was defensive firepower. With multiple .50 caliber machine guns covering nearly every angle, the B-17 formed tightly packed bomber formations that created overlapping fields of fire. German pilots often described attacking these formations as flying into a wall of bullets. The Ju-88 was one of Germany's most versatile aircraft of the war. Originally designed as a medium bomber, it was adapted into numerous roles, including bomber interceptor, night fighter, and reconnaissance aircraft. Fast and agile for its size, the Ju-88 was frequently used to intercept Allied bombers before they reached their targets. Encounters between B-17 and Ju-88S were brutal and costly. German crews attempted head-on attacks to minimize exposure to defensive guns, while American gunners relied on coordination and discipline to protect their formation. Every mission was a test of endurance, as bombers pressed on despite losses. Although Ju-88S inflicted damage, the sheer scale of Allied bombing and the durability of the B-17 gradually overwhelmed German defenses. The Flying Fortress became a symbol of relentless pressure, while the Ju-88 reflected Germany's struggle to counter a bombing campaign that never stopped. The confrontation between the B-24 Liberator and the Heinkel He-111 highlights the evolution of bomber warfare during World War II. Both aircraft played critical roles, yet they represented different stages of strategic air power. The B-24 Liberator was faster and had a longer range than the B-17, making it ideal for missions over vast distances. Its distinctive high-aspect wing allowed it to carry heavy bomb loads farther than most bombers of its era. However, it was more difficult to fly and less durable in combat, demanding skilled crews. The Heinkel He-111 was Germany's primary medium bomber during the early and middle years of the war. It participated heavily in the Battle of Britain and early campaigns across Europe. While reliable, it lacked sufficient defensive armament and speed to survive against increasingly advanced Allied fighters. As the war progressed, the Liberator became a key component of Allied strategic bombing, while the He-111 shifted toward transport and secondary roles. German crews faced overwhelming opposition, often flying outdated aircraft against massive Allied formations. The contrast between these bombers reflects the changing balance of industrial power. The B-24 symbolized mass production and global reach, while the He-111 represented an aircraft design overtaken by rapid technological advances and sustained enemy pressure. The early war clashes between the P-40 Warhawk and the Messerschmitt Bf 40-100 and 9 were among the most intense and unforgiving air battles of World War II. These encounters occurred when experience, tactics, and pilot skill mattered as much as aircraft performance. The P-40 Warhawk was rugged, reliable, and heavily armed, but it lacked the high-altitude performance of later American fighters. It excelled at low-altitude combat and diving attacks, making it effective in harsh environments such as North Africa and the Pacific. The Bf 109, already combat-tested, was faster and climbed more rapidly than the P-40. German pilots used vertical tactics to gain altitude advantage, striking quickly before disengaging. In direct turning fights, however, the Warhawk could still hold its own. Early in the war, American pilots were often outmatched due to limited training and experience. Over time, improved tactics and teamwork allowed P-40 units to exploit their aircraft's strength. The famous Flying Tigers demonstrated how discipline and strategy could counter superior enemy aircraft. These early engagements shaped Allied air doctrine. Though eventually replaced by more advanced fighters, the P-40 played a crucial role in holding the line during the war's most uncertain period, while the BFF-109 continued evolving to meet new threats.